All right, cool. I mean, let's just this Spaces is recorded, so we can definitely circulate this after
Sure,
for everybody looking to get info.
sure.
Dude, let's just get started, man. Like,
Yeah, happy to.
so tell us a little bit about Merchants of Gobi, what you guys are building.
For sure. So, we started building out our core product, which is a DEX, in June. It's called Marco Polo. It is live. We are shipping an update. It's been audited. And how we view Gobi Labs kind of is to build, consumer-facing Web3 products that focus on revenue. And I think for me personally, the keyword there is revenue, right? You have a lot of projects in our space that is launching that promises revenue or other forms of it, but it's really hard to actually deliver because you need product market fit. So for us, we took the route of actually shipping a DEX, shipping our merch line. We have a sportsbook coming out in December. So this was kind of the right time for us to launch a PFP collection and to kind of onboard the community together with us.
I see, I see. And you made a mention to creating revenue drivers, and it's definitely something that I noticed when reading through your white paper.
Yeah.
Like, in your opinion, like right now, why is it really important for projects to focus on this?
Yeah, that's a great question. The honest answer is I don't think a lot of project founders or people in our space actually understand how revenue works, right? Like if you open up a coffee shop, getting people to come by a coffee shop and buy coffee is not as easy as most people think, right? Like revenue is something incredibly fun in theory, and practice is very complicated, because you actually have to convince people to spend money. So I think with us, the way we've approached this was we put in a ton of our own money, we put in 6 months of our own time. We wanted to get to a point where we did have real revenue. I mean, Ormus has done over 50K of sales already. The Dex has done about 15K in fees already with very little marketing. We really did try to just get product to the market and launch, and then launch this PFP on top of that.
I see, I see. And so you had mentioned Ormuz and Marco Polo, and you guys have a DEX. Like, how are these all related to Merchants of Gobi, and how will they benefit from each other in the ecosystem?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you view it top down, the core product that we have is the DEX, right? So it's a decentralized exchange. It's similar to like Uniswap or Orca, and one of the things we need to do with that is to obviously bring in volume. And the reason why we've launched peripheral products like the Ormas or the sportsbook that's coming out is so that we don't actually have to rely on retail to drive DEX volume, right? DEX volume is great during a bull run. In a bear run that we are in right now, it's hard to rely on retail to provide the liquidity as well as the swaps. So we wanted to build out additional stuff that kind of supplemented that. So for example, with the sportsbook, when someone bets in CREC, we take the CREC and we swap it through our CREC USDC pool, so we don't have to rely on individual swappers for that trading volume.
I see, I see. And so it seems like, and I know you guys have done some merch offerings
Yeah.
for like Monkey DAO and DGen Apes, but you're discussing a sports book. It's called the Coliseum.
Yes.
So it seems like the merch part is kind of just the start for you guys. Like, what can we expect from the Coliseum as well as some other product offerings that you guys have?
Yeah, like I said, I think top down, how we view this is, we know what we're very good at. We're very good at going from 0 to 1. So from product design to UI UX to actually doing the infrastructure and the coding on Solana, so whether like with the sportsbook on the Coliseum side, we took a minority share. The sportsbook is fully integrated into the DEX. It'll utilize our token, but we're not the principal owners of it. So that allows us to kind of scale our operations as we grow and to work with different partners to bring on skill sets where we excel better than most people. But with this PFP collection kind of launching where we are at right now, this felt like the right timing because it's, we've shipped enough stuff now where we want to grow this with the community.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess that leads me to my next question. Why now? Why on Solana?
Yeah, I mean, we've been on Sol since day one, right? Like I personally have been on Sol since about last March. So we rolled it all the way up to 250 and we rolled it all the way down to 25. It's been a lot of fun. I'm sure you have as well. I think for us, the PFP collection, PFPs are such a unique tool in the broader scope of things. We really view this collection as like onboarding users. It's much more about user acquisition. It's much more about having users who are willing to buy into what we do, take the time to learn, and also reap the rewards for it, rather than just a regular pump and dump or one of those hype-driven ones. I think this is reflected in our pre-sale. We really open up our pre-sales to individual people who do want to take the time. It's not gated for exclusive community so much as some of the other ones who came before us. And for us, it's just we've timed this. Yeah, the market right now is a little unfortunate, but we do think it's going to pick up quite a bit in November. There's a lot of big mints coming up, obviously. And we're excited to kind of build this with the community, right? Like shit is launched. Now we want to grow it with people.
For sure, yeah, and I love your kind of your principles and your guiding light here for within your ethos.
Yeah.
Like, what has been like one of the biggest like, and that just goes like shipping product and having something fully functional, like showing, improving. You know, I think that's like super important. What has been your approach overall for community building? I know you guys have been doing some stuff, so.
Yeah, I think community building, to be 100% frank with you, is probably one of the areas where we can do a lot better on. You know, I think with our market, the attention span is obviously very short. You know, this is also why we really lean heavily into this revenue model that we've created. Unlike a lot of projects that promise revenue sharing of some sort, we actually have that revenue to begin with upfront. In terms of attracting community, this is another reason why we've done our pre-sale this way. You know, when you're giving Monkey DAO or Enigma 200 pre-sale slots, those people aren't really coming into your community, right? They're kind of just looking to flip and make a profit. So we really did want to go from the ground up. You know, with Gobi Labs, our focus is on onboarding new users into Web3. And we want to do that from a grassroots level as much as we can.
For sure. Love that.
Appreciate the question.
Yeah, of course. It's such an important important part of any NFT project, any business in general. Really finding that supportive community.
For sure.
Can you explain a little bit about Gobi Coin and how that's going to kind of be utilized in your ecosystem?
Yeah. So, you know, coins are obviously a tricky piece of conversation across all spectrums, but for us, the way we view it would be the main currency within our ecosystem. So, on the sportsbook, for example, when you bet in Gobi as opposed to USDC, you get a bit of a cashback in case you lose it. On the Ormus side, for example, is if you pay in Gobi instead of Sol, you get a 10% discount. So we kind of view the token as an incentive structure rather than to like force it down your throat, right? So for example, with Dust Labs, like you could only mint the tubes in Dust. You know, a lot of the raffles were only in Dust. We took a different approach here where we believe we designed the tokenomics strong enough where we didn't need this immediate buy pressure, and it was more incentive driven, right? Like if you want to buy merch, you can buy merch at 10% off. You just got to pay in our token. Here's where you get it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you said, and I was reading through the white paper around the pre-sale and
Yeah.
the initial buy, like there's going to be locked staking until January 1st. Can you just inform us on like kind of what led you to that approach?
Yeah, so we've actually changed that. We've updated the white paper last week just from the feedback from the pre-sale. So we got rid of the lockup period and we've pushed our mint back probably early December. The reason why we did this is because, you know, I mean, pre-sale in this current meta is a little touch and go, obviously, but we wanted to make sure that the people who did buy pre-sale really understood what they were getting and would be rewarded for it, right? So our RevShare system incorporates like a voucher system. So essentially, if you have your NFT staked for a calendar month, we airdrop you a voucher NFT, and then you use that to redeem part of the RevShare for different products. So for example, if there are 10,000 merchants staked this month, there will be 10,000 vouchers out in the wild, right? So for every product that we have, so the NFTs, Ormus, the sportsbook, the DEX, there's going to be a pile of money there up for redemption every month. And how people redeem will essentially be a game theory optimization type of situation. We're looking really forward to that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a good time. You guys also noted, and this is kind of like a new meta situation here in the space, like you guys noted that you're deploying AMMs with Elixir, and some other groups. What kind of influenced your decision there?
Yeah, I mean, we know the Elixir guys really well. We're going through the Elixir party in a bit here. They just seem like really good guys. I think the AMM meta is interesting. It makes a lot more sense on ETH than it does on Sol, in my opinion. But obviously, it's made its way over. You have Hades Swap, which has done a great job. You have the Elixir guys as well. You know, I think with like large collection mints now, like 10K, it's obviously most people are going to ask you, why do you need to do such a large collection? For us, it's genuinely about onboarding new users for the sportsbook or for the merch or for the DEX and having them get a cut of that, right? So we wanted to make our collection large, but we're also fairly confident in our ability to deliver. So, you know, we put aside 10% of our collection to be put into these AMMs with our own money, right? Because we have to provide liquidity as well, just to kind of say, hey, as we grow, the floor value of this is going to grow. And we're happy to put our money where our mouth is.
For sure. Yeah. Love that confidence.
Appreciate it.
Like with regards to, and you had mentioned, having the intention of doing a lot of onboarding and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest obstacle that you guys have had to overcome regarding onboarding? And then a follow-up to that would be, like, if it is a different obstacle, what has been like the biggest obstacle for like your business thus far?
Yeah, I think those are really valid questions. To start with the second one, I think, what's been really challenging for business is just kind of navigate this environment in real time. I think that's something that you understand as well. You guys have been around for a while. Just shit changes so fast in our space that it's really hard to kind of make plans 30 to 90 days ahead of today. Like even with our mint, we're minting in 30 days. 30 days is a long time in our space. So it's really hard to actually be able to kind of project forwards, to make concrete plans. And obviously, in a bear market like this, a lot of people are down bad. There's a lot of negative, feelings in our space, let's call them. So just kind of navigating that has been really challenging. But we're working through it. In terms of onboarding new users, it's a really interesting question. I've talked to a lot of people about this a lot. If you take a step back and look at the Solana NFT space, you can kind of assume that there's been X amount of people who've kind of stuck around, right? But the only way for our space to grow is if new people come in. And I think everyone does realize that. How you make them come in, I think, is going to be an interesting part, and I think it's going to be a key catalyst for the next bull run.
For sure, yeah. That's the big nut that everyone's trying to crack here. How can we bring in this external folks?
Yeah, so we can dump our bags.
Hey, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm just like a regular, say, like I'm just another project here in the Solana ecosystem, how will I be able to leverage your offerings to provide value to my community?
Sure, there's a lot of ways we can do this. Obviously, with the merch stuff. So with the Ormus, we produce stuff out of China. We spent about 4 months sourcing the stuff. It's actually really interesting being at Breakpoint, seeing a lot of other merch, being able to compare it to our own stuff, and feel fairly confident about our solutions. We took a long time sourcing that stuff. So our goal is to allow projects to really kind of connect with the community more through the Ormus. We are fully customizable. If you have a token, we'd love to talk to you about the DEX. Unlike a lot of other projects with our DEX, we have a swap to earn and a swap to share program. So whenever someone swaps your token, for example, your project gets a cut of the swap, and then the person who does the swapping gets entered into a raffle system. It's kind of like a jackpot situation there. We've done a lot of changes to the DEX. We brought on the Ormus, and with the sportsbook, whoever does have liquidity on the DEX will be able to have their token in the sportsbook as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, sounds like a very interesting suite of products that you're offering here.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, and I think and I won't like keep you. I know you said you're in Breakpoint. You got some parties.
Yeah, no worries.
I have like one follow question, and then we can see if anybody else got any questions. Like, what can we expect over the next 90 days from you guys, and then what can we expect over the next year?
Yeah, so I think over the next 90 days, the way we've designed our RevShare system is it's monthly based on the calendar month, right? So on January 1st, if you have your merchant stake from December 1st to the 31st, you're going to be airdropped a voucher, and you use that voucher to redeem part of your RevShare. So we've gone ahead and guaranteed at least 30 grand US in RevShare for the first month. It is only available to the people who buy pre-sale. So it'll be a maximum of about 1,500 people who redeem. Like we really did want to put our money where our mouth is with this RevShare system. You've been in the space as long as I have, so you understand this. A lot of people have promised this. A lot of people have teased this, right? But being able to execute it is really different. So, for us, going through this pre-sale, we wanted to, once again, put our money where our mouth is and to kind of say, hey, we have this 30 grand set aside. No matter what happens with the pre-sale or the mint, we're going to make sure that the people who did believe in us are going to get rewarded for it.
For sure. Yeah, I like that, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that was a lot. That was most of the questions I had in looking through your white paper. I know we've talked a couple times here, and I definitely like the merch offerings and some of the products you guys are building. So
yeah, with the merch stuff, it's interesting because obviously we didn't do a lot of the merch at Breakpoint, so it's very interesting for me to be able to touch and feel other merch, touch and feel our own merch. So we'll let the end user decide that.
For sure, and may the best offerings win out.
Absolutely, it's competition at the end of the day.
For sure. So yeah, thanks, Stephen, man. I appreciate you taking the time. I don't know if anybody else has any questions they want to ask. Feel free, just raise your hand or shoot us a DM or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. So our pre-sales are live. All you gotta do is hop in our Discord, get a traveler role, and you should be able to get your pre-sale on GIP. We're gonna keep it open for the month of November for the most part, and we're gonna see how things go. Obviously, we all hope the market picks up a little bit, which I'm sure it will do, and we're probably gonna look to mint this around December.
All right, looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for your time today, dude.
For sure. Yeah, and have a great time at Breakpoint.
We will. It's a blast here. It's nice meeting a lot of these people.
Yeah, for sure. And try to stay hydrated too, man. Not too much port.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks. Cool. I'll wrap it up here, and then this is recorded again, so we're going to be able to share it around, and we'll definitely spread the word here within the visionary community, and feel free to share elsewhere.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Peace.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye-bye.